Hi everyone, sorry about that. I had to use the restroom. Back to how I started realizing that there was definitely some sort of direct energy weapon being used against me. Not 100% sure which type. That noise continued and it was totally new. That low frequency kind of hum. It's very hard to describe. I did take a video of it. I'm sure I'll post that. But I'm not 100% sure if you can hear it in the video. You know, if the audio on this phone is enough to pick up on it, on the sound. But anyways, that hum continued, and then this added extra type of migraine continued. My vision, I already had a little bit of blurry vision from my condition, specifically from my spine. My spinal cord stuff, but my vision is definitely a lot blurrier since this started. Since the whatever direct energy weapon they're using against me started. And I look a mess. And then the other thing was that my heart, you know, as I was researching the direct energy weapons, I saw somewhere that one of them, I'm not sure which one, and I apologize that I don't know all that stuff off the top of my head, causes heart attack. Well, my heart was definitely feeling congested and had been for a couple days. And, you know, bad faith people will say, oh, well, it's just because you're reading it, so then you're seeing it. No, it was already happening. I'm just extremely grateful for other TIs who are talking about it, that I have access to the information, because otherwise I wouldn't have known at all. The subluxations in my jaw, perhaps something to do with how the radiation, it says it can get 0.5 millimeter under your skin, so it's getting to my ligaments. Other things too. Muscle spasms, I noticed that didn't develop until a little bit later on. So at some point I was like, yeah, there's definitely radiation in here. I don't know exactly which type of weapon, but I can't be in here all day. So I started leaving during the daytime. And, I don't want to be exposed to it at all. I can't be in there with that. I've done some research that basically if you hold up a metal plate to cover your body, it's supposed to nullify the microwaves if that's the type of weapon being used. And it does. In the video he shows proof that it does completely nullify the microwaves. They don't make it past the metal plate. Tinfoil is another thing. It's funny. It doesn't make it past tinfoil. I can't be exposed to this radiation. It'd be harmful for anyone, but because my body is so sensitive, and because I already have this medical condition, I know that whatever effects it would have on a normal person, it's having on me super sped up. My mom is also experiencing new symptoms that she hasn't before. I want to give a really important piece of information here that I noticed before I even looked it up. Once I started leaving during the day, like for example yesterday, I walked to somewhere that is 0.8 miles from my apartment. And when I walked back, at a certain point on my walk back, I immediately started feeling the effects of the weapon. Not as bad or as pronounced as it is when I'm sitting right under it in my apartment unit, but I immediately felt it. So then I looked up, like, how far is the reach of direct energy weapons, and apparently it reaches to 0.615 miles from origin. Sorry, one second. reaches to 0.6125 miles from origin. That matches up perfectly with when I started feeling the effects again on my walk back home. Which I only did because I need somewhere to sleep, but I can't keep exposing myself to that. And it's quite the conundrum here to be the target of something so dangerous, and for the average person to not know about it. I do think if people know about it and it's publicized enough, people will believe it. Majority of people will believe it. But especially to be the target of something that has that much of a reach. I saw online where someone said the places that these weapons are placed become cancer hotspots, which means everyone in that vicinity and radius is affected, not just the target. Even if the target's the most affected, like in my case, they've got it beaming right down into our apartment, and that's where its source is. But everyone around there is going to feel the effects of that. And it's not only highly illegal and unconstitutional what's happening to me, but the fact that other citizens are being exposed to this very harmful weapon. Hi. How you doing? I'm trying my best, man. Have a good day. That's even more reason that people should care about this. Because that radiation's affecting them too. Online it says that the LRAD that I think is being used on me, it says, oh, there's nothing known about its long-term effects. It affects the skin. Well, I'm not going to take my chances, but I've also heard from other TIs that they've developed cancer after being exposed to this. I can't expose myself to that. I just can't. I'm 29 years old, whatever weapon they're using has already had permanent effects. I know for a fact my vision will never go back, and it's only been 2 weeks. I don't know what the whole point of, I want to go back really quick. I don't know what the whole point of the fire alarm was. It could have been something else that I'm not going to go into right now, but it's definitely related to the fact that that was the first day I heard the weapon. And that definitely was the first day, that November 21st, that definitely was the first day the weapon was used, because if it hadn't been, I would have been feeling these health effects a lot earlier, and I didn't. I didn't feel any health effects until, probably 7 days into this, 7 days from November 21st. This is highly illegal. This is highly unconstitutional. And even with that piece of it aside, the majority of people would be outraged to know this if they know what's really going on. These gang stalkers, they isolate their victims, and that's the number one thing they're able to do to keep the public from knowing about what's happening here. I want to make a really important distinction when I say they. Because of my own investigation, everything that's happened to me since April 2023, unfortunately, corruption was a part of my story from the beginning, pretty much, from very close to the beginning. But in my case, this is not just the whole government, right? From the beginning, this has been an organized criminal syndicate, some sort of clandestine organization that makes use of corrupt individuals within government positions. I do unfortunately think that at this point, that very small minority is trying to turn whatever authority they can against me, on fraudulent and slanderous grounds. And that's part of the reason, you know, that I went to the authorities 20 different times, because as soon as I put the stuff together about what was going on and what group of people I was dealing with, I knew that was going to be a factor, and I didn't want to let that happen. So I want to be very clear about that. The people who are really stalking me and motivated to stalk me, at this point it might be a little different, but throughout this whole thing it's been a faction, a criminal syndicate. Starting out was just criminals. Then, you know, as I started reporting it to authorities and everything, it became clear that there were a very small minority of corrupt authority figures, individual authorities, doing the bidding of these people. And I want to make that very clear, because my case is a little bit different, because from the beginning it's been about rape. You know, from the very beginning of this, it has been about raping me in my sleep with impunity. You know, profiling me to be a sex slave. That's what this whole thing has been about from the very beginning. Anything else, number one, would have never happened to me if not for that. Number two is a pretext to that end, right? So whatever I've been labeled as fraudulently among some authority agencies, I would have never been labeled that if I had not been the target of this stalking and rape by this racketeering by this syndicate. It's not about me personally. It's not about anything in my past. These people, they find whatever they can, they use whatever they can against someone. It doesn't matter who you are. It's all a pretext, and that's first and foremost. It's a pretext for the sex trafficking of me being raped repeatedly in my sleep. Every time I've been raped, they've broken in, drugged, and raped me in my sleep. I have not received any money. I never would. I would never do these people's bidding. I would never be involved in prostitution. I would never even become a victim that can be coerced, which is important. Those victims who've been victim to that are still just as much as victims as I am, but it's different for me because they have straight up broken in and raped me in my sleep every time. But now we're dealing with something else with these weapons. I'm posting this video because I need help. I cannot stay in that apartment with that weapon. Unfortunately, I'm going to open up a little right now. Fortunately, my mom doesn't understand the full context of what's going on with that, and you know, the number one thing is that I need to be with someone who believes me and understands what's going on with what I've been victim to and what I'm now the target of. And you know, I definitely can't be in the company of someone who's determined to say that it's not going on. That's not an option. I see online a lot of the times like different targeted individuals talking about how they, you know, we need to join up and everything, and I think that's great. And I also think we need to actually do it. There's no other way to stop this. And I need help. You know, all of my resources have gone to trying to keep myself safe, which I think anyone would do. Now I'm out of resources, I'm being honest. And I can't just sit and cook in that apartment. I can literally feel the effects of the radiation. I can feel it neurologically, I can feel it with my vision. I can feel like the tops of my feet like kind of burning when I'm in there trying to go to sleep. Please stop. To my attackers, I know you'll probably watch this at some point. Please stop. Stop the radiation and stop the experiments. I know that's probably a huge part of this. Incapacitating the victims is another clear objective of this. So I just want to be on the record now to say that anything major happens with my health, it was absolutely this. I haven't had any cancer. You know, I have the EDS, and that has its own set of things, but it's if I have any heart attack or cancer from this point on, I know it was an effect of this. Even if I'm never exposed to it again, there's a lot of radiation. I don't know how much higher it is than like an x-ray, for example. I'm out of money to even buy one of those things to test it, you know. I'm sorry, I forget the name of the tool to test the radiation level, but it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's going full blast. They're sending it full blast at me anytime I'm in that apartment. I'm being watched in that apartment. You know, this is real. This really happens. This is human trafficking. This is what human trafficking looks like. We talk about it, but if you're not familiar with this, you know, think about what you do know about human trafficking. A lot of what people know about it is really surface level. But this is what it looks like. This is what it actually looks like in 2023 in the United States of America. And we've got to make it stop. Please stop the radiation. Other thing is that I have neurological bladder because of my spine. I had surgery for it back in 2022. And because of that, my bladder is really, really sensitive to changes. And I can already feel a decreased sensation in the past few days based on the radiation. Please stop the attacks on my health. Stop the rapes. Please just leave me alone, please. I would have never had to go public about this if y'all had just left me alone. I don't know what else to say at this point. I just want to live a peaceful life. I've been through a lot in my life. I know a lot of people have. Anyways, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm rambling. Please stop the attacks. Stop these attacks. Other trafficking victims have documented, like, when they're, you know, zapped with the direct energy weapons, they have, like, you know, some red lesions that appear. Mine is different. It's just been like this breaking out and this itching. It's not as obvious, but I think that's a matter of people's different bodies and how they respond differently. My mom's reported really bad headaches since this started, and something going on with her eyes and her face burning, something like that. I don't remember exactly. This is so messed up. Anyone in that building, and anyone in even that radius, that 0.6125 radius, you know, I think whoever it is probably some private security company. I was seeing online where, unfortunately, these private security companies have access to these weapons. Or, if it is someone involved in government, I think it's one corrupt official that's misusing that weapon for these ends. That's what I think about my case. I'm not arguing anyone else's case, but I know the way things have happened for me. I know for a fact that it's a small faction, a very tiny minority of individuals who are covering for a specific organized criminal syndicate responsible for raping me. Please just make the attacks stop. This is illegal, you know?